Harvey Lindsay's life is a story of family and faith, of the quiet pursuit of justice, of enduring patience and optimism. Born into a family of public service, Harvey Lindsay is a cousin to Josh Darden, a nephew to Governor Colgate Darden, and like many of his generation, was shaped by the Second World War, when Norfolk found its footing as the epicenter of America's naval response. As the region ramped up for war, Harvey Lindsay Sr. was staking a claim at the ocean front. Among his most successful ventures, the surf club that lured locals to a beachfront that had little else to offer but the Cavalier Hotel. Some still talk about one memorable July 4th in 1941. Glenn Miller was headlining at the surf club, while Tommy Dorsey and Frank Sinatra were on stage at the Cavalier. After the war, Harvey went to the University of Virginia, under the watchful eye of its president and Harvey's uncle, Colgate Darden.
He'd call home and he'd say, "Catherine," that's my mother, she'd say, "Catherine, that boy, he's not studying up here. All he's doing is playing around. He's joined a fraternity up there, and he's, and I said, "Oh my gosh, don't call him, don't call my mother anymore. She's gonna get me in real trouble."
Harvey loved Cavalier sports, especially lacrosse. In fact, he made the 1951 All-American Honorable Mention list. Not bad for someone who'd never even picked up a lacrosse stick just 2 years before. Harvey shipped off to Korea after college, part of a contingent of Marines vastly outnumbered by thousands of Chinese troops on the other side of the hill. And it was a conversation with an African-American corpsman on that cold, dangerous hillside that would shape his destiny.
One night we were out there on the hill talking, and he said, "You know, Lieutenant," he said, "we're all equal over here. There's no difference with the color of our skin, whether we're white or black or whatever. It's no difference. We're all equal." But he said to me, "You know, when we go back to the States, it's not going to be like that." And I said, "No, I'll tell you." I said, you might be right, but I'm going to try to do my share to help change that."
When he returned from Korea, Harvey joined his father's real estate business with an eye to growing it. But he hadn't been home long when he got word about the death of his best friend, a Navy pilot who took off from the USS Midway and never returned. Harvey had been Bob King's best man, so it was only natural that he'd look after his widow, Frances. She had one toddler and was 6 months pregnant with her second son when word arrived of her husband's death. The tables turned when Harvey was injured in a touch football game and Frances looked after him. It wasn't long before they were married.
She loved our children and our grandchildren, and we had 2 great-grandchildren. She just loved our family so very much. I miss her very, very much, but we had 62 great years of marriage together, so I, can thank the Lord for that.
Harvey hadn't forgotten the conversation in the Korean foxhole, and he knew the corpsman was right, that equality on the battlefield hadn't made it home. In the late 50s, the Supreme Court ordered the integration of public schools, but Virginia resisted, and Norfolk schools closed their doors for a whole year in protest.
I wake up one morning, they've closed all the public schools in Norfolk. I said, can't believe this. This has happened to this city. I mean, we're too great a city to have this happen to us. That was a very, very difficult time. And I came down on the side of reopening the schools, and there were a lot of people, some of my friends who said I was on the wrong side of that, but I felt real strongly about it. I received some letters and notes and things that to lay off and get out of that, don't get involved. But I just felt very strongly about it.
That's when Harvey accepted an invitation to join the new Citizens Advisory Committee, the precursor to the Urban League of Hampton Roads. While Harvey deepened his civic commitments, Harvey Lindsay Real Estate was spreading its wings west to Newport News.
I think his vision for this area was just to have something unique, a place where the whole region would benefit from this. And as you can see, various companies from around the world and the country have decided to come stay and grow here. City Center has become just a dream come true for us. This is the place to be. This is going to be the center of growth for the city.
As his business success grew, the conversation with the Cormans stayed with him. And that's when he met a preacher named Courtney McBath.
When I met Harvey, I was a 30-year-old kid just starting a church in a city that I knew nothing about. He was a mover and a shaker in that city. There was absolutely nothing about me that should have been impressive to him. I think he liked the fact that I went to MIT, but beyond that, I just had a little storefront church and I was just getting going. But for some reason, he loved me and he thought highly of me and he spoke highly of me, and it's like I never had to really earn that. It's almost like he gave me that. We were so nomadic as a church. We had moved 4 times in 11 months, and we ended up purchasing property on Little Creek Road to build the new church. There were proponents in the city, I don't think a majority, but a very vocal proponent in the city that violently opposed us building a 3,000-seat church on Little Creek Road. And at that point, Harvey stepped up and questioned the intent of those who opposed me. He was kind and gentle, but very specific, very, very intellectual and articulate in how he addressed their emotional issues. And so he asked all the right questions. Why would we oppose a church that meets all of our zoning regulations building there? What would be our reasons? He didn't call them racist. He just removed all the other possible options, so that was the only one left. So he did that in an editorial to the paper, but he also came to my side as well and let me know that whatever you need, we're here to help you. And if we don't get that, which was usually the way he approached it, it was a we. If we don't get that, Courtney, we will find something and we will get you in it. And he meant that.
Opponents of Calvary Revival threatened to force a citywide referendum, but the church decided it would look for another property instead.
This piece of property here on Poplar Hall Drive was $2 million out of our price range. It was way out. Harvey came back to them and they changed the price. And the price went from $3 million to about $1 million. And so we walked into this building, we bought it, and we had the money to restore it and do all the stuff that we had to do, and it all worked out. And Harvey was right. He said, if it doesn't work there, it'll work somewhere else, because we're gonna make sure that you got a church. And here's the funny thing about Harvey, we'll never know, because he's never gonna take credit for it. Even if he made the call, he ain't gonna tell anybody. None of his friends believed that he would get back up from the dead. You know what that tells me? None of your friends may believe in who you can become, but it doesn't matter.
Today, Bishop Courtney McBath preaches to 3,500 each Sunday, and Calvary Revival's online ministry extends to millions around the world.
I have a feeling that there was a little bit of Harveyism that kind of helped the Lord to push it in our direction.
A little bit of Harveyism was instrumental for the Union Mission as well. The shelter for the poor and homeless had spent 50 years in downtown Norfolk, but with the revitalization of downtown and the mission's growth, it was time to find a new location. That was the foundation of a lifetime friendship between Harvey Lindsay and Reverend Ted Bashford.
They both were visionaries and both had grand plans for the city and for the Union mission. And I remember those meetings. Harvey Lindsay would come in and just encourage Ted and say, it's going to be all right. We're going to help the mission move. If you really want to know the person, the true person, sit with someone when things aren't going well. And we certainly saw that when deals fell through on our former site, and he just remained very positive, was not distracted from the original goal. And one thing I appreciate about Harvey and anyone like him is helping people who cannot in any way reciprocate. This would not come back to Mr. Lindsay in any kind of personal way, and yet he saw that some of the most vulnerable in our community needed his help.
Along the way, Harvey's cousin, Josh Darden, asked him to join the board of the Access College Foundation that's made it possible for more than 60,000 Hampton Roads students to attend college. Harvey served at a critical time when the organization was making decisions about expanding to all Southampton Roads schools.
80% of our students are from families where no one has gone to college, and I think that that's the part of him which is just that equity, wanting fairness for all, and that really attracted him to us in the first place.
It's amazing the growth of this foundation, that what they've done, it's just tremendous. And to give these youngsters an opportunity to go to college, get an education, it's just beyond anything I ever thought could happen. I knew it would be great with Josh and Frank Batten starting it, but it's amazing the growth of it, and it's been great for our city, great for the Hampton Roads region, and I'm very proud of what they've done.
Whenever I see Harvey at any kind of an event or just out on the street or wherever or in his office and we have a conversation, I go back to the office smiling and thinking, what a precious encounter. The way he treats people, the way that everyone is the same, everyone is Harvey's best friend and gets that same fabulous, presidential treatment. Harvey is just, on top of being loyal and honest and fair and having integrity and just all those wonderful things, he's just precious.
For his optimism, his regional vision, and his commitment to justice for all, the Civic Leadership Institute is proud to present the 2018 Darden Award for Regional Leadership to Harvey L. Lindsay, Jr.